Greetings, podsters and podlars, and welcome to Cazza and Tracy Talk Gavin and Stacey. I'm Tracy.
And I'm Caroline.
And we're friends who, like Gavin and Stacey, met online in the noughties. We connected over small humour, over how life is funny in the minutiae of things, and we also found that we like to read and watch many of the same things. And one of those things was Gavin and Stacey, which is also a show celebrating small humour, kindness and bluster, and people being magnificently themselves in all their flawed glory. Now that the show is having its one last hurrah with a final Christmas special, we thought we'd rewatch it all, remind ourselves why we loved it, and find out whether we still do. We're on to season 2, and as the season opens, Gavin and Stacey are married, Nessa is pregnant, but Stacey is the only one who knows. Let's begin with Tracy's Pracy of episode 1. The newlyweds return home. They're met at the airport by Mick and Pam with a suitably hilarious banner, who take them back to their house where Gavin and Stacey are now going to live. Bryn, Gwen and Nessa are driving over from Wales. Bryn's driving Gwen and Nessa's in the truck loaded with Stacey's gear. Bryn and Nessa can communicate by two-way radio, Nessa's handle being Robert Mugabe, while Bryn is Dame Judy Dench. Pam, Mick, Gavin and Stacey arrive home. Bryn and Gwen arrive at the Shipmans not long after, followed by Nessa, and then the final piece in the puzzle as Smithy arrives at the Shipmans. The whole crew is back together. They head off to Capriccio's for dinner, where they bump into Pete and Dawn, who are there with Seth, a young man they've met on the internet with whom they are hoping to have a threesome and introduce the necessary spice to their relationship. Gavin, Stacey and all of their crew find a table, have a wonderful time of having their orders taken by a waiter who clearly loves them all. Then, Stacey follows Nessa into the toilets, confronts her because she knows that Nessa hasn't told Smithy that she's pregnant. One by one, everyone else goes into the bathrooms for one reason or another and is brought into the secret, including Dawn, distraught that they've been rejected by Seth. Everyone knows Nessa is pregnant except Smithy and Bryn, both still out in the restaurant at the table. The episode ends on the cliffhanger as Nessa returns to the table and, surrounded by everyone else, stands across from Smithy and tells him she's pregnant, adding, in case it needs to be said, "And you're the father." So, Caroline, what's this episode about for you?
It's obviously, as you said, the lead into Smithy finding out about Nessa's pregnancy. But I think it's also really about building a dynamic. Season 2, just halfway through it, watching it, is jam-packed with jokes and character development and back history and all that sort of thing. I think it's so far I'm finding it a corker of a season compared to season 1. But there's just that sort of tension about Smithy finding out about Nessa's pregnancy, I think beautifully played out. That whole everyone one by one going into the toilets is a fantastic concept, and you know, it just keeps getting sidetracked in the way of Gavin and Stacey, where they'll just bring in, for example, the threesome and Dawn's embarrassment and all of that. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a great start to the series because it's introducing us to the way the pregnancy is going to go and how safe and loved this baby's going to be, even if it is in somewhat unconventional ways. And I loved the way, as with everything else, they deal with the are you going to keep it or not keep it in such a straightforward way. So Pam just asks, so are you going to keep it? And there's no question about the ethics or the morals of it. They just accept that it's her decision. And once she's made that decision, they move on to the next step, which is everyone knows except Smithy.
Yeah, that's a great point, and a relief when you've watched so many unwanted pregnancy storylines in soap operas. You just think, oh, we're going to flogging a dead horse again, and they just don't do it.
No,
it's great.
It's really nice. Now, as we discovered watching season 1, not all of it is standing the test of time. So is there anything in this episode for you that's especially cringy or problematic, or that you kind of found not so great this second time around?
Well, look, I'm going to struggle with Smithy and Lucy the whole way. So that's his underage girlfriend, and they're using it as a massive gag. And in fact, it's not such a big part in this episode, but it's just hovering there that she can't come because she's been grounded for having cigarettes in her bag. Then there's the thing about the threesome partner being a person of colour. I think that you're meant to see that they're the problem, if you know what I mean, like the way they point to their face and circle it to indicate that it's not the same colour as them and all that sort of thing. So I think that you're meant to find their casual racism. I think you're meant to feel that in a cringe level. So I'm not sure that I would say that was problematic, but I think it's almost the opposite and brings it up as a thing that people do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wondered about it as well, given that everyone in the show is white. You know, I mean, I think you might play it differently now.
Well, true, because the only person of colour is a sex object. But then again, he walks away from them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the Dawn and Pete.
Dawn and Pete are the problem. Show. Yeah, it's not punching down. But it's.
I think it was actually punching against them, if you know what I mean. But as you say, the casting is very white.
Yeah. And I agree. The Lucy stuff, I was just like, feels worse all the time to me.
I mean, it does get worse too, I think.
Yeah.
In the next episode.
Yeah.
And I suppose the other thing and it's probably just to do with my own sensitivities, is that thing of laughing at older people for having sex drives. Like that they're ridiculous for being that or undignified, and that feels a little bit like punching down cruel humour. But on the other hand, Mick and Pam obviously have a very healthy sex life, and so they play it back against that.
Yeah, I don't mind that so much because it is in the context of Mick and Pam, but also just because it's sort of a Pete and Dawn thing. Like, I think they've probably, yeah. But I don't disagree with you though.
Yeah.
And what about in terms of character development or growth? What do you reckon?
A couple of things I really like, and I think that this is one of the real, the glue of the show, is the friendship stuff, that Pam is there for Dawn in her absolute mortification, and she's looking after her and talking her through it and comforting her. That Stacey is there for Nessa and just saying, come on. And then there's a little bit in there where Smithy's having this moment about, oh, you're back from your honeymoon, are you? And having an absolute little tanty about it. And Stacey steps up and says, he did talk about you, Smithy, and all that sort of thing. So just her being a good girlfriend to what, you could say is a fairly, if my man was best friends with someone like Smithy, I don't know that you'd want to protect that, would you?
No, I know. I thought it was pretty nice of her too.
They're non-judgy, aren't they? They just go, well, Smithy is and that friendship is, and they don't try and home wreck or anything. So that's something really nice. And I love, there was a couple of little things like Gwen being quite knowledgeable about three-ways.
Yeah.
And Mick being fantastic again, just being the calm dad who's looking after Pete and managing the situation. And also just a little character moment which I really liked was Pam's unexpected knee name.
Yeah,
she just turned out to be Polish.
Yeah.
Well, to have a Polish surname.
Yes, that was pretty cute. I would agree with what you said about the friendship elements. And I thought there's not really necessarily any development of Smithy yet, but it's setting the scene, I thought, for what's probably the biggest character development of the season. So it's still really well established that Smithy is a complete arse.
Yeah.
He's sulking about Gavin. He's letting Bryn think they can be best friends. Yes. So I think it does sort of leave us intrigued about how he is going to react when he finds out about the baby.
Yes. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Gosh, he's an arse. It's just so awful.
Oh, he's terrible. Yeah.
So there's always lots of heart moments. What was the one that stood out for you?
I did actually. It's just a very sweet one-off is when Gavin carried Stacey over the threshold.
Oh, yeah.
And her delight in that. I do like how in this series it always comes back to how much their love is just so solid. And there's all this other drama going around, and then they'll just take that little moment for him to carry her over the threshold or similar. So I like that. But I guess the other heart moment was when Ness calling Smithy vile just felt really right. And I thought, he is terrible. And she's on it. Like everyone else is just kind of, oh, Smithy this. And she just looks it straight down the barrel and says he's terrible.
Yeah, she's not pulling it, and she's very matter-of-fact about it.
Yeah. So what about you?
Yes. Look, I had never quite articulated it as that, but just time and again, Stacey's delight is a delight. It's so nice. Just that giggle, and she's totally in the moment. Yeah. So I did enjoy that. But I'm also a real sucker for an airport scene. And I rewatched this a couple of hours after I'd been to collect my own son from the airport after his gap semester. I loved Pam's banner.
Oh, me too.
You know, I thought I know it was sort of a joke, but it was also just like, I am so proud to show everyone I love my son. I loved it.
Pam. Written that down as one of my favourite jokes of the week. Is when Mick's kind of being a whinge about it, and she just says, "Oh, people will be looking at you, saying, look at that lanky Marty ass." It's just like so good. Yeah, I love the banner too, and also that little moment where she just, as soon as she sees Gav, she just throws it away and goes straight from. She's the best, Pam.
Yeah. Well, is that your favourite joke, or do you have another favourite joke from this episode?
I think all that scene around that, like there was another thing that she couldn't spell Spacey's name correctly because she was confused because of the big pen.
Yep. That was a great line.
Makes me laugh.
Yeah. Yes, that is something I do actually laugh out loud at every time.
I thought the CB nicknames of Robert Mugabe and Dame Judi Dench were funny. And then what's this? Why have I written, so I've got him by the throat? Oh, Pam's stupid story about the Greek hotel that she stayed in where they weren't changing the sheet. And it was so stupid with hiding wine gums and all that sort of thing. And just as you get to the really good bit where she says, so I've got him by the throat, you never hear the end of that story, and I did enjoy that.
Yeah. I loved it. That whole scene, it was just so joyous, and I loved it. My funniest part, though, was really Bryn's T-shirt when he rocks up and he's got that T-shirt. My niece went to Greece and all I got was this lousy T-shirt, and he's made it himself and he's had it printed even before the wedding, and he just has to and everybody keeps asking about it, and he's going, yeah, for a joke. He has to keep kind of telling everyone, for a joke. I loved it.
And then Nessa asks him on the CB, how did it go?
Yeah. And he says mixed reviews.
Mixed reviews, that was very good.
Yeah.
And I like that little moment of clarity of Ness knowing how that T-shirt is going to go down, being party to it, knowing how it will go down, and then just asking, and Bryn has to own up to that moment.
Yeah. We have been asking each other a quiz question to see how well we really do know the show. I keep forgetting my quiz question and I don't write it in our notes so that you don't see it. But you've answered it anyway.
Was it wine gum?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can also tell you that she put them in Mick's pillowcase.
Mick's pillowcase, yes, that was, I know, because there was such a nice detail. I should have known. Oh, I know, I gave myself a reserve question though.
Yep.
What at the restaurant at Capriccio's, what is it that Smithy first orders?
Oh, a Caesar salad.
Oh, it is a Caesar salad.
And everybody's like, what?
Yeah. I'm joking. I'm having a steak.
Yeah. Okay, well, my question is, can you remember the names of the people who were involved in the fight at the wedding and why what happened at the fight was a problem besides there being a fight?
No, okay. Oh, do you mean, well, there was one with his auntie, but then, is that the one you mean? Well, I can't remember the names. No, I can't remember.
Okay, so that was Auntie Christine and Cousin John, and they're still not speaking because he smeared her face in cake.
Oh, the cake.
Really yes. But the main problem with that apparently was she was diabetic.
Yeah,
that's like, okay, so not the violence of smearing someone's face with cake.
But she's nearly had a sugar spike.
All right.
So
I don't know where we're going with that. Well, no, in our quiz question.
No, I know. Well, let's just assume you're winning. Well, so that is episode 1. The scene's well and truly set for this series. You want to make any final reflections on it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, there was another favourite line I had, which was when Nessie says she hasn't told Smithy because he's vile and he's English. And they say to her it's racism, and she says it's not racism, it's xenophobia.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like I fell for that, and now wait a second. It's like, oh, okay, it's not. Yeah. Oh, no, wait.
Yeah.
Please explain for all the Australian listeners out there.
Well, where the scenes, it's all set. We're ready for the rest of the series, and we are left primed and ready to find out what Smithy thinks of this new development in his life.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time.
Bye.